And check out this rumor I've heard. Tom Holland might be in it too.
What?
It's a big maybe at this
dude,
point. They're having a hard time getting him to sign on for this.
If they could just get Zendaya and Tony Revolori to sign on,
then we could get
a whole crew.
Then it'd be a real sequel at that point.
A real sequel to Spider-Man. Oh my god.
Guys, the Spider-Man news just does not stop. Never stops, and let it keep trickling in. Why the hell not? Okay, so this comes from Daniel RPK, Daniel Richtman. We follow him on Patreon, and you guys should too if you want some latest scoops. A lot of the time, he is right, especially in recent weeks. You've come to discover he was right about a lot of things a long time ago. Sometimes he's wrong, but the important thing to capitalize on is this could be true. So for Spider-Man 3, here we go. There's talks about Willem Dafoe. They're negotiating with him to join. Dane DeHaan we did hear about, but also now Thomas Haden Church as Sandman coming into it. This is really cool to me because I have no idea what the hell this movie's really gonna be. Obviously, some of these players have to just be cameos. Some of them might have actual integral supporting roles. Maybe they're setting up for some Sinister Six. Be curious to know what your guys' thoughts are. To me, I actually find Willem Dafoe to be one of the greatest comic book villains that is extremely underrated. His performance as Green Goblin was just so much fun. Chewing up the scenery, but also at times, especially that mirror scene when he's like crawling on the floor, he's willing to be vulnerable and strange and weird. And Thomas Haden Church, if they did not have Topher Grace's Venom, which I'm really hoping he does get rumored to be in this too, if that movie did not have Topher Grace's Venom, I think we would have really appreciated Thomas Haden Church's performance in Spider-Man 3. I actually thought he brought a lot of gravitas to that role, so if we get a chance to honor two villains who are pretty much underrated, because out of that trilogy, it seems Doc Ock gets the most praise, rightfully so, he probably is the best, you know, but out of that trilogy, those two villains I find very much underappreciated, so yeah, I mean, if they have a chance to just pop up on screen and go, hey, cool.
You know, I mean, at this point, I'll take it because not everybody can be a huge role, and I accept that. But I do feel like they are really looking throughout their catalog and just going, what worked that maybe didn't get the chance to either have a button put on it or that just didn't have to end so we can theoretically bring it back. And the one eyebrow raiser for me in this is Norman Osborn, is Willem Dafoe, just because of how that character goes in the first Spider-Man film. But it's a multiverse. There's time travel in the MCU. There's a million possibilities as to how he could be incorporated. And I think that, for me personally, I love the father-son dynamic that they played with in that first Spider-Man movie. And if they could even touch back to that in some way with Tobey Maguire, I think that could be pretty cool. So I'm excited for both these guys.
I mean, it's to me, from everything we're hearing about the warping of reality, of how it starts with WandaVision, goes into Spider-Man, and segues all the way into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, perhaps they really messed up reality where even those who are dead are now brought back to life. And then they're plotting together of how to get their revenge or something like that. There has to be some like major, whatever cinematic crossover is happening with Spider-Man 3. Maybe all the villains are like coming together and he needs to team up with the other Spider-Men to take him down.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a cool movie.
3 Spider-Men versus the Sinister Six, but all 6 of them are from slightly different worlds.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. I mean, if you're not getting James Franco to return, but you get Dane DeHaan to come in there, all right then. Whatever this is, I'm sure it's just going to be a lot of eye candy. And I feel like even if it doesn't hit the mark, it's just going to be super fun and exciting regardless. We might just be watching the screen and love it the first time just because of all the nostalgia it's playing on, the excitement of watching them all show up on screen together, and then suddenly we watch it a second time and we're like, oh, that wasn't really that good.
I mean,
it was just
I
don't think it'll be the case, but I'm like, that's the worst case scenario at this point, is that we'll probably still love it regardless, and then we go back and we're like, actually, I think it just played on my nostalgia. That's the worst case, but I trust what they got going on. I'm excited for this, man. This sounds great. Also, it gives you the opportunity to let the villains of the trilogy share the same screen together, because you didn't get that before.
Think of those actors all together.
Exactly. You didn't get all that before. Green Goblin died, Doc Ock died, and now you can have a movie where all of them are in the same. It's really this multiverse crossover.
And resetting all the rules in the process.
And now my question is too, it's been so many years since they've all appeared on screen. They all look older. I can see how you have like an older version of Peter Parker with Tobey Maguire showing up on screen. You don't have to do any de-aging. You could just have him be like an older Peter Parker. Why not? Whereas if there's the death of like Green Goblin and Doc Ock, if you have these characters returning, maybe being brought back from some reality warping thing, wouldn't they have to still be the same age? Would they have to do some like de-aging to them? Or maybe Doc Ock did live. That ending in Spider-Man 2, he does sink to the bottom of the ocean, but well, I guess a comic book movie, he could probably be alive in some way.
Well, yeah. And you know, Norman Osborn got stabbed through the thighs, so maybe he could come back with like a Darth Maul lower half robotic thing or something.
It just starts off where he punches his fist out of the ground.
Yeah, that's the first shot of the movie.
They buried him in his Green Goblin costume. He just glides out of the...
And then it'll be perfect because finally at the end he can reunite with Dane DeHaan. And Dane DeHaan, we never got to know his version of Norman Osborn with Chris Cooper. He was his background character. So then, you know, clearly James Franco wasn't a satisfactory son. So maybe they'll be able to live happily ever after as two different Osborn timelines one.
Yeah. I would find it interesting if they did bring back Gwen Stacy, Bryce Dallas Howard's version from Spider-Man 3, and if she interacted with Emma Stone. I think some people forget that Gwen Stacy's in the Spider-Man trilogy because she's such a prominent character in The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 and is such a better character that it's pretty easy to kind of forget about, oh yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard was Gwen Stacy. So it wouldn't be that exciting, but I think it'd be a fun little Easter egg to throw her in there as well.
What if she shows up as Spider-Gwen?
Oh, that would be, I don't think people would be happy about that. I think people want Emma Stone to be the one who shows up at Spider-Gwen, I think, out of anyone.
That's fair. No, she's going to come back with her degrees from Oxford.
She went to school, everything was fine. And in all seriousness, I think people have been wanting it, but we haven't been hearing anything about Tom Hardy's Venom showing up here. And maybe this isn't the film to do it. I do think it would be pretty funny, though, if we did get Topher Grace's Venom to show up in here, just for one scene. Come on. We got Anakin Skywalker showing back up in Star Wars. You got all these other players in here. You might as well just have him show up for like one scene, even if it's like the post-credit scene and it's a joke.
It'll be a joke where that's when Tom Hardy finally shows up and he's like, wait a minute. All right, now we gotta fight.
Because what happened in Spider-Man 3? Wasn't he like put in some weird dimension at the end or something? Or, like there was the explosion thing that happened when he was hitting the poles and
the bell and the sonic wave.
Yeah, there could be something where it just shows up. It would just be a funny moment
through a thing, and then, because he like falls down the belfry or whatever, right? So he could just fall through a portal into this reality.
Yeah, I think it would be hilarious. All right, guys. Well, what do you think about this piece of news? Leave your thoughts down below. Subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click the notification bell. Who else do you want to appear in here? Last but not least, Daniel Gallagher. Daniel, my friend, you have been part of our Patreon page for such a long time. 'Tis the season to celebrate with family and loved ones, and you are undoubtedly a part of the Reject Nation inner circle, close friends, family, because since we launched this Patreon, you've pretty much stayed pledged the entire time.
You're an MVP.
And a lot of times you might not even talk with us because you're so busy doing your own thing. I bet you're not even watching some of our content, which is A-okay as long as you stay pledged. Because that is the best Christmas gift we could ever ask for. In all sincerity, dude, it's been kind of a rough year for a lot of people, us included. However, it's people like you with your generosity that help the holidays feel more like actual holidays. So thank you, Daniel, for being a part of our page for such a long time. Merry Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful new year, and let me know your New Year's resolutions in our Patreon message thread that we got going on. Love you, buddy. Hope to talk with you soon.